On February 28, 2026, Iran fired its first missiles. Not at Israel, not at American bases, at Dubai. In the first 48 hours, the numbers didn't just rise, they fractured expectations. A simple comparison tells the story. United Arab Emirates, more than 150 missiles, over 500 drones. Saudi Arabia, 2 strikes. Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, negligible by comparison. This wasn't escalation. This was concentration. The anomaly is not that Iran retaliated. The anomaly is where it chose to focus. The United Arab Emirates was not part of the coalition that struck Iran. It was not publicly at war. For decades, it maintained an unspoken balance with Tehran coexistence without alignment. And yet, the data points in one direction. Why? 3 explanations exist: military geography, economic calculus, political signaling. But to understand why those numbers look the way they do, we have to start before the war, before the first missile, before the first drone. Because numbers without context are noise, and this pattern is anything but random. For decades, there was an understanding never written, never signed, but consistently observed. A gentleman's agreement. Iran had something to lose in Dubai. More than 200,000 Iranian nationals lived and worked across the Emirates. Billions of dollars in trade, formal and informal, flowed through its ports, banks, and free zones. Dubai became something more than a city. It became a financial pressure valve. When sanctions tightened, money rerouted through Dubai. When markets closed, goods passed quietly through Emirati channels. By some estimates, informal Iran-UAE trade reached tens of billions of dollars annually before the war. It was not alliance. It was interdependence. And interdependence creates restraint. For over 40 years, that restraint held. Since the tanker war of the 1980s, Iran had avoided direct strikes on Gulf Cooperation Council states. Conflicts existed: proxy wars, maritime seizures, cyber operations, but direct attacks remained rare. Even in 2022, when Houthi forces struck Abu Dhabi, it was treated as a strategic shock, not a declaration of war. The pattern was consistent: tension without rupture. Then came February 28th. In the opening hours of the conflict, a coordinated strike by the United States and Israel hit multiple Iranian targets. Command structures were disrupted, and within hours, Iran's supreme leader was reported killed. The response was inevitable, but the target selection was not. This is where the data begins to say something unexpected. In the first 48 hours, the distribution of force revealed the strategy. United Arab Emirates, more than 150 missiles, over 500 drones. Saudi Arabia, 2 missile strikes. Kuwait, moderate activity. Qatar, limited engagement. Oman, effectively 0. Within 2 days, the UAE absorbed more incoming attacks than Israel. Not over the course of the war, in the opening window. Then the numbers compounded. Over 40 days, the totals became clearer. The United Arab Emirates, 537 ballistic missiles, 2,256 drones, 26 cruise missiles. Qatar, approximately 203 missiles and 87 drones. Saudi Arabia, 38 missiles, 435 drones. Oman, 16 drones, statistically negligible. Kuwait and Bahrain, somewhere in between, but far below the Emirati scale. This is not proportional retaliation. This is targeted saturation. But raw numbers only tell part of the story. There are secondary metrics less visible, but equally important. The United Arab Emirates and Kuwait depleted approximately 75% of their Patriot missile interceptors. Air defense systems were not overwhelmed instantly, but they were drained systematically. Interception rates remained high, but interception does not eliminate consequences. Debris falls. Fragments kill. In the UAE, 13 confirmed deaths. 224 injured. Dubai International Airport, the busiest international hub in the world, was forced into temporary closure. Not destroyed, interrupted. And interruption, in a system built on precision timing, is its own form of damage. Industrial impact followed. Emirates Global Aluminium, one of the largest industrial operations in the region, required nearly a year to return to full capacity. The system held, but it bent, and the numbers leave us with a sharper question. We now understand the scale, but scale does not explain distribution. Why was Oman almost untouched while the UAE became the primary target? Why this pattern and not another? The first explanation is geography, not political geography, military geography. The United Arab Emirates hosts one of the most significant American military installations in the region, Al Dhafra Air Base. From this location, surveillance, refueling, and strike operations are coordinated. It is not symbolic infrastructure. It is operational. For Iran, targeting the UAE is not just about the UAE. It is about the network embedded within it. Striking Emirati territory becomes a way to strike American capability without crossing the threshold of direct confrontation on American soil. In purely strategic terms, the UAE is not peripheral. It is central. The second explanation is economic. Dubai is not just a city. It is a system. For 30 years, it has positioned itself as a stable node in an unstable region, a place where capital can move freely, where risk is managed, where continuity is assumed. That reputation is not intangible. It is measurable in investment flows, in insurance premiums, in logistical routing decisions. And it is fragile. Iran understood this. A single disruption in Dubai does not just damage infrastructure. It introduces uncertainty into a system that depends on predictability. One strike does not need to destroy. It needs to signal vulnerability. Paradoxically, the more valuable Dubai is, the more effective it becomes as a target. The third explanation is political. The United Arab Emirates has, over the past decade, integrated more deeply with Western and Israeli systems than any other Gulf state. Normalization agreements, defense cooperation, intelligence sharing, these are not abstract alignments. They are structural. From Tehran's perspective, the UAE is not neutral. It is connected, and connection creates leverage. By striking the UAE, Iran may not be aiming to defeat it militarily. It may be attempting to influence decision-making beyond it. A signal directed at Washington through an economic partner, through a system that matters. Saudi Arabia, by contrast, represents a different calculation, a more direct regional rival, a state capable of symmetrical escalation. And so, in the opening phase, it was treated differently, not ignored, but not prioritized. These explanations are not mutually exclusive. They overlap. They reinforce each other. And together, they form a pattern that matches the data. The consequences extend beyond the battlefield. They move into systems that were never designed for sustained disruption. 70% of Gulf food imports pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point not easily replaced. In the UAE, more than half of potable water comes from desalination, a process dependent on stable energy and uninterrupted operation. These are not vulnerabilities created by war. They are vulnerabilities exposed by it. An economic model built over 50 years optimized for efficiency, connectivity, and growth suddenly faces systemic pressure, and the costs accumulate. Oil supply disruptions reached levels not seen since the energy crisis of the 1970s. Global markets reacted not just to loss, but to uncertainty. Major events international, symbolic faced cancellation or delay. Air travel slowed. Logistics networks recalibrated. Industrial operations paused. Each individual disruption is manageable. Together, they form a pattern. And then there are the things that cannot be measured. For 40 years, the gentleman's agreement held. It required no signature, no enforcement mechanism, only mutual recognition of cost. That agreement is now gone. The assumption that the United Arab Emirates could exist adjacent to conflict, but not within it, has been tested. And the result is no longer theoretical. Dubai's identity as a safe haven, predictable, insulated, stable, is no longer absolute. It is conditional. 537 missiles, 2,256 drones. In 40 days, a pattern built over 40 years was erased. The question is no longer why the UAE appeared on the target list. The data has already answered that. The question now is different. What replaces a system that no longer holds?